started, thanks for joining for our webinar today. My name is Will Cooper. I am the training coordinator for Infowise Solutions, and I have a presentation today regarding building an interactive help system in SharePoint. Before we get started, I just kind of want to give you some ground rules. In the GoToWebinar interface, you'll see a questions panel, and I hope that you will take advantage and feel free to ask us any kind of questions about Infowise, the product, SharePoint, anything that you're curious about regarding the presentation. We'll try to answer those questions in that interface during the presentation. I may address some of that towards the end. So use that to give us feedback if you have any questions. Outside of that, any questions at all regarding our product or our presentation, please contact us. We'd love to hear from you. And the email is sales@infowisesolutions.com. So we'll go ahead and get started. So as I mentioned, my name is Will Cooper, and I'm a training coordinator for Infowise. Before I worked with these guys, I was a customer. I really came to love the product, and as a developer, I came to understand how much versatility there is and how much I can do with the product. And the most important thing that I can tell you about using the Infowise tools is just how easy it is. Everything is so much easier than it would be otherwise if I was having to use other tools or even just out-of-the-box SharePoint. So about Infowise, our emphasis is on forms. We really try to provide tools to build forms-related solutions. So that's really the heart of the functionality and versatility that we provide with our product. We really try to emphasize making things easy, and I hope that you'll see in my presentation that is certainly the case. And we really like our product. We have fun working on this. We like working in SharePoint, and we especially like trying to take away some of the headaches that you can otherwise have when you're trying to work in SharePoint. So as I said, it's a full form solution. It's comprehensive, lots of features and functionality. And in my presentation today, I'll show you how that can help a little bit with what we're going to build. At the very end of the presentation, we're going to be giving away a free embroidered Infowise t-shirt. Polo shirt. So please stick around. We'll do a drawing for that at the end. All right. So this kind of shows how I think about Infowise. Before doing anything with the Infowise tool set, I did work as a developer and building solutions with SharePoint, and I can definitely say that it was a painful process. Certainly trying to build things with Visual Studio or SharePoint Designer or other tools can be very frustrating. And really, I feel very strongly and passionately that these Infowise tools really just make things so easy to do. These tools are available both for Office 365 and on-premise. So regardless of which environment you're working in, or even if you have a hybrid environment, all these tools and functionality are available, and it goes right into your SharePoint interface. All right, so let's talk about the topic for our presentation today, building an interactive help system. So why would we do this? Certainly there's third-party solutions you can buy that are sort of what I would call a canned solution that provide you structure and functionality related, so you can always buy off the shelf. Really, it's easy to do this, as I'm going to demonstrate in the presentation, and you can incorporate your own custom requirements. So this is going to be an adaptable solution that you can build. You can do it easily and quickly, and really set up a tool that fits into the needs of your organization. And also, this is a really great first project to do with using Infowise tools, if that's something that you're new to doing. Okay, so key features. We're going to work from one list, so we don't need to do related lists or any complex functionality in terms of passing information back and forth. We're going to have one list, which I've named knowledge. That's where we put in our articles for our users to find, and we want to have search capabilities. Everybody always asks about that. Depending on the size of your organization, you may ultimately have hundreds of articles of information, and we want people to get to that fast and easy. We want our content authors to be able to create information really quickly and update articles, so we really want a painless interface as far as that goes. Shouldn't be confusing at all. We'd like to have some email alert notifications to go out when articles get updated. We'll show how you can do some things with that. So I mentioned the interface really needs to be simple. This would be both for the readers of the information, but also for content authors. Certainly as it relates to training and help, these days all of us really love to watch videos. I'm certainly that way. I probably spend an hour a day on YouTube watching videos. That's really how people learn these days. So we really want to think of a strategy that incorporates that into the tool as easily as we can, make it kind of a feature part of the interface. And then another thing, we have all this help information in there. We need to make sure those users know which articles are new. We need a way to highlight articles and make those stand out so they don't just get lost in the shuffle. Okay, so here's some of the fields we're going to incorporate into the list. Not very complicated. You can see I think I have about 10 fields or so. We're just going to use that regular default title column, and we'll provide fields for the topic and category. We want to have a link in case there's a document that's referenced. Each article should have an owner to track back to in case there needs to be updates or things like that. I mentioned videos, so we're going to have a video player embedded into our form and have an easy method to get those videos into the article. We want a tag field for search purposes. That way we can put some tags on those articles and improve the ability for users to find those articles. I mentioned the featured on home. This is going to be a field that we'll use, just a checkbox that controls whether the article is highlighted as something to draw attention for users. And then the knowledge is just going to be like a rich text field where we're actually going to put in our article. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to take you guys out of my boring PowerPoint slide, and we're going to go right into SharePoint. Okay, here you go. So I have my fictional company, Wise Industries, and the tool, I named my tool the Wise Industries Knowledge Base. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just walk you around and show you what this looks like as far as the user experience. Okay, so I have 8 main tiles here on my home page, and what these are, we've got 7 categories of information, and then we have a search tool there. So I can just navigate that way, or on the bottom there's the what's new. This just shows us articles that have been flagged to be featured on that home page. Okay, so if I click on a tile, what that does is just take me to a filtered view of the list, which just shows me help information in that category. As far as viewing the information, all I do is just click on the title link, and then the details, that's the general information about the help. And then on the second tab, we have any details from the article, and then we're going to have a video. In this tool, we're embedding YouTube videos, but certainly could use Vimeo or host videos locally, however you want, depending on what the pattern is for you guys storing the videos. Okay, so here's one more. And because that's a rich text editor field, we can use all that SharePoint functionality to embed pictures, do formatting, all that kind of stuff. Now you notice the top bar changes color. So when I'm in edit mode, I made that turn green to make it really obvious when we're viewing the information as opposed to editing it. And as I said, I can just insert pictures. This is just using default SharePoint functionality, so that would be very easy to do for the content authors. Okay, and then we want to have emails go out, so we're going to have an email alert tied to this list. I'll show you how that's set up in just a minute. In terms of permissioning, certainly we need some controls around that. I just created some SharePoint security groups for this site so that only the content authors can add to that. For other folks, they just have a read-only access to the site. So that's probably, in general, a good way to handle that is to create some SharePoint security groups for the purpose of this tool. As far as the learning, search, we want to make that really simple. That was the term I wanted to search for. I'm going to put learning. We don't want them to have to do any extra clicks or do anything complicated. We really just want them to be able to type a word out and have it shoot us back a list of anything that includes that. So this would include the tags that we're using, or whether that term's in the title, whatever the case may be. We just want to keep that simple. Notice for an admin or somebody like that, they can use advanced filters. If they want to add that up, they can kind of toggle into that mode. But for most users, they can just use that simple type a word and click the button, and that's all that they have to do. Okay, so I'm going to show you what it looks like to make an article real quick. And what I want to emphasize is that it is very important for us to make this really easy for people to do that. Let's see, we'll do widgets guide, do widgets for topic. This is for grouping. You may have multiple help articles on a particular topic, so it's kind of a subcategorization, if you will. We're going to put this in our tools section. Notice we have these icons. That really helps a lot. We don't want to have a boring list with just gray text on there. This kind of helps the dashboards look better. I mentioned the tags, so I can just put words down here, and this helps for search purposes. Whatever I want to type in here. Okay. And then if I want to feature at home, all I got to do is check the box, and it's going to make it show up there. So, I might like to have 3 or 4 or 5 articles featured at home, especially when they first get added. Another thing I can do, let me put my name in. We have to have an owner that's required. That'll be me. I want to show you how the video setup is going to work. So you can optionally provide a video. In general, I think that's going to be a good part of our tool. If you do it, it's really simple. Normally, it would be a headache to add videos. In our case, we're going to tap into YouTube videos. We're going to load some help videos there. So all I need is the ID identifier from that video. And what's going to happen is after I save this record, it's going to automatically do some actions behind the scene to set that up. And then I've got a nice big pane for my article, and it is going to require me to add some information there. And as I say, I can just use SharePoint highlighting, formatting, whatever, just the regular SharePoint text editor that you're used to. Okay, so that's all that I have to do to create an article. So if you look on the home page, we're going to see that's featured. Okay, see how there's a date in there? Those are going to auto sort in chronological order for me. So as a user, this helps me know, what's happened lately. I just want to see the new stuff, and this is a really quick way for me to get to that. So I can just click on that and view what's added. And there's the video. You see that set up. You can hopefully agree that was really easy for me to do, assuming I've already got my video loaded. And you could use whatever. Like I say, you could do something like that with Vimeo. If you wouldn't have a private account for your organization, certainly that wouldn't be hard to do that. So that's kind of what our interface looks like. So a key aspect of this is it would handle lots of articles as a visual interface instead of that boring look of SharePoint lists. I've got a nice effect on here, and it's easy for me to drill down. That's what people want to do. They want to drill down to that topic, or at a minimum be able to enter a search term and do that easily. Okay, so that's kind of what the user experience is. Now I want to talk to you about how you would set something like this up. Okay, so for the home page, we really want that to look nice. And most of this can be done really just with regular SharePoint functionality. And the way that I set up this page is I added some web parts along with the banner. So what we've got are some regular out-of-the-box SharePoint web parts. The first one is a summary links web part. Been around for a long time. What you would do is basically create 4 columns, and then you can add your links in there. And all you have to do is reference those images. So I did find some tiles. You want to have a standard size, and the interface you're seeing right there, I happen to like the 250 by 150 pixel size. So you can just load those to your site assets directory, and that's how you set that up. And then for the links, I'm just going to those filtered views. So you don't have to do any coding or anything like that. For style, use image on top centered. After you get the web part on there, you can add your tile images and links, and that's all there is to it for that part. As far as the what's new and how that works, we're using a content query web part. Again, a web part that's been part of SharePoint for a long time. And you'll recall I've got a field in the form set up to feature it on that page. So all that I have to do there is in the query, I need to have a filter for that. And I'm looking for where the field called featured on home is equal yes, then pull back the results. So those are the only ones I want to show there. And then the other thing, and I just found like a banner. I just kind of did a search for that and then just put the text over the top. And I do like to have a banner for the homepage. We're just trying to make it look user-friendly, and we don't want it to be a boring SharePoint page. I did do some styling here. So there is a little bit of CSS involved. For me, I'm just used to that. I've done that kind of stuff. For any of you guys out there who are building this who don't do a lot of CSS or want any help with that, I'd be very happy to send you the style sheet and I can help you set that up. I can promise you it's not that bad. Basically, you can just go into the developer toolbar in Chrome and do that. But even if you're not a CSS guru, you could probably get help from somebody on that if you want help with the stylings. But it really didn't take much work for that. Okay, so let's get to the list itself. That tells you how the home page is set up. So the first thing you've got to do is, of course, create your list in SharePoint. So you're going to make your fields first. I listed those out at the beginning of the presentation. So if I go in the list settings, nothing unusual there, just creating basic SharePoint fields. Those are the ones you see in the form. I need to make sure I have the correct ones set required. That's it. That's all that I've got to do for the setup. I'm going to do that before I do anything with the Infowise settings. Once I've got my fields created, I would just go into the Infowise tool. So the cool thing is this is baked right into the SharePoint interface. I don't need to go to some desktop tool or some other application or go off in some other place to do this. I basically just go to the list tab, click on design, and then I'm at the dashboard for Infowise settings. Really simple, clean layout. And the first thing you do, really easy, you just create tabs. So that's one major improvement. Instead of that long scrolling form, all I need to do is just type in the names of the tabs and click add there, and they show up. And then what you do is just map them over. So I can, change the order of these as I need to. But basically, just tell the system where I want those fields to show up. For the knowledge article, that's just the one field on that tab. And then for the video, I make it show up on that tab. So very simple to just begin to customize the form. Another thing that I use that I told you about, I use this field more than any field I use with the Infowise settings, is that color choice field. It really helps to have some icons to improve the look of the interface, give the user something that they can visually recognize as they're looking through those. So this is basically taking a regular plain SharePoint choice field and changing it over to something where it can include an icon. And I've got all kinds of icons, 250 different icons I can pick from to whatever makes sense according to the choice. So I just map those, hit update, and that's all there is to setting up those type of fields. Okay. Another thing we can do is we can make adjustments for column permissions. This is important because some of this is just for display to the user only. And also we want to have some controls. For example, I don't want to show sections of the form asking about the ID of the video unless they're actually using the video. So we really like as users in our forms to be able to have the form respond as we're doing inputs. I don't want to just see all of the fields every time, even when it doesn't apply. So I've got a control in here which basically says hide the video ID field when you're not using the video. If you are, show it. So that makes it pop in and out of view in the form. And then for the video player, this is controlled automatically by our system. So I set that as a read only. Even though it's a rich text field in the system handles that. We just want to display the video. Never should that be editable to the user. So those rules are really easy to set up. And then I can do some things with validation where I can conditionally require. So the video ID, if they say yes to the video, we have to get the ID, so we can actually make a rule in there and say, oh, you need the video. I can check and make sure that field has a length more than 0, and it will give me the validation, but only under that condition. Infowise actions are awesome. Probably the best part about the tool for me as a developer. I really like this because effectively it replaces anything I would otherwise have to do in SharePoint Designer, making SharePoint workflow. Really from the interface, this just lets me create triggers and actions in the system according to what the user is doing with the record. Okay, so one thing I showed you, you might be wondering how the video player is set up. Well, I just made a rule in here, and I took that YouTube embed code, and what I'm doing is dropping in the code, which is the video ID, which is coming from the other field. Really simple to set up. Basically, I just have to check in my action when the video is equal to yes. It just tells it to update this video player rich text field to hold that code. And that's what makes that YouTube video update to whatever I'm using. Okay. So those are some of the things I can do with actions. Another thing I want to show you real quick is how to get to those email alerts. So we'll go there. The email alerts functionality is way beyond anything you would be able to do with the SharePoint default alert functionality. The first thing you do is you create a template and you get a visual interface for that. And basically what I can do is just drop in fields from my form. So what's happening here is when I update those records, I've created a rule which shoots out an email. We'd like the owner of that file to be aware, when the record's updated. That'd be a nice feature add for our system. So I, from the right column, can just pick fields, drop them into the interface, and it will dynamically insert that information for me. Likewise with the subject line, I can have it drop in the dynamic information from that record. Okay, as far as creating the rule itself, basically I just define some conditions and who it should go to. So I want this to go to the person in the owner field. I want that triggered when the record's modified, and then I just map it to the template I created. That's it. I create it, click close, and then I've got that alert set up in the system to trigger those events. Okay, so we're running a little short on time. I want to talk to you a little bit about how to do more, kind of next steps as far as how the tool works. So for any of you curious about the Infowise product, if you haven't tried it before, I want to tell you that it's really easy to try that quickly. So whether you're Office 365 or on-premise, if you just come in here and click on Get the Trial, if it's Office 365, you can actually download the app and do this yourself without waiting for a response. For on-premise, we'll send you a key to be able to do that, but all the instructions there. So if you do the legwork and get your demo installed, it is full featured, so you guys can do everything with the product, really try it out before having to make a commitment as far as using the product. We do presentations every month, and we also have a lot of information on our blogs and training. So especially as you're using this product, I really want to emphasize the fact that there's lots of helpful information, multiple different sources of information that can help you when you're beginning with the product. We do offer a 2-hour training session for new customers. That's our Kickstart training. We provide it every 2 weeks. This is a great ramp up if you're new to the product and are learning how to use it. If you want to learn about some of the content or what's in that, you can go to our training page and read some information. But as I say, you would automatically get that, and that is unlimited as far as how many users in your organization want to do the training. Any of them can attend. So I mentioned we have webinars in here. There's lots of videos of other kinds of solutions we've demonstrated building with the Infowise tool set. So I hope you guys will take a look at that. For any of you guys in the DC area, I did want to mention that we will have a webinar coming up towards the end of March. That's SharePoint Fest, and we'd love to talk to you guys in person if you need that. Another option, if you have some questions specific to your needs in your organization, we're very happy to do a demo with you. You'll see that orange button on the home page of our site. So let us know about that. What else? Okay, I need to give away a shirt. Let's go ahead and do that now. You guys have been listening to me droning on for a while. If you want to use the interface in the questions or chat, just give me a number 1 to 100, and I'm going to pick a winner here in just a minute, and we'll get a shirt out to the winner. All right, I've got a winner. You guys can stop answering. Just 1 second. Caleb Thompson. If you will send me an email to willc@infowisesolutions.com, and we'll get you set up with your shirt. Thank you for that. And that's pretty much it. I really hope that you guys know how easy it is to use this product. I've been using this for years. I've built solutions from things that are very basic to complex solutions that are used by hundreds of users. So the product scales, it's comprehensive, it can do a lot, and it really gives you the tools that you need to build customized forms with SharePoint. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, and we'll be posting on our site, and we hope you'll attend on the next webinar next month. So thanks everybody for your time. We'll stay on for a while to